Hello everyone, welcome to our planned webinar where I will be talking about how to contact potential supervisors for Masters and PhD opportunities. My name is Michael Adebayo, and like I always say that without the right communication, request and intentions wink in the dark. So who am I, and why should you pay attention to me? Like I reiterated before, my name is Michael Adebayo, and I am a university president scholar at Aix-Marseille University. Over the course of my pursuit of scholarship opportunities, I've sent out more than 300 emails to supervisors across the globe. Now that's a lot. And of course, over the period of sending these 300 emails, after my first 130 emails, I finally found a way around the most important details, the most important content that should be contained in a contact email. I mean, when sending emails to supervisors, how should you structure it? What are the things that they are looking for? What are the things that attract them to your message or attract them to your person and would want to make them consider you for candidacy? So after many rejections, after 130 emails, I designed a formula that began to bring me results, and that's why we are here. This same formula, this same strategy, this same, content sequence, I deployed it in winning 2 prestigious scholarships, which I had to choose one and I had to reject the other. And as recent as April, I helped a prospective candidate land 2 interviews within 1 month. This is no gimmick. This is no bragado. Maybe I have a bragging right with that. Why I'm an authority, or why I am able to do this webinar, why I stand as an authority. That's, for me, it's some sort of bragging right why you should listen to me and pay attention to me, because I really want you to succeed. I really want you to win a scholarship, and I want you to do it as fast as possible. I want you to do it as soon as possible. I want you to get a scholarship after the whole COVID-19 is over. I want you to get something tangible. I know you've had many experiences. I know you've had your own fair share of positives. You've had your fair shares of negative responses from a lot of potential supervisors. But I believe after this training, your whole idea and approach to contacting supervisors will change. Also, the quality of the content you will be sending out will also change as a result of the strategies I will be sharing with you today. So, what are the things you should consider before sending an email to a potential supervisor? Now, I remember in 2015 or 16, that was the first time I got to know about sending emails. That was the first time I got to know about the need to contact supervisors, because I never knew about it. I got to know about it through a friend, and everything seemed like it was like rocket science, and I just had to begin my journey to finding out what it takes. And I just launched into sending out emails to supervisors without considerations for a couple of things that after I became experienced with then sending out email, after many failure, you become an expert. So after sending many emails to supervisors, I'm trying to check if there's a comment from anyone. So after sending emails to supervisors and having many rejection and restructuring and then starting to get results, I found out that my consideration for certain things helped increase my chance to land a scholarship. And the first of those things is the fit for the program. What's your fit? Are you in chemistry and then you are sending, email to someone probably in a particular specialized field in chemistry, say industrial chemistry, and you are sending a proposal to someone in microbiology, for instance? Why that is possible? Or yes, that is possible actually. Why that is possible, you can be in chemistry and look for opportunities in microbiology, but somebody who does microbiology is likely to get the opportunity compared to you coming from a chemistry background wanting to move into microbiology. Chances are high if you have the same grade, if you have the same GRE score, if you have the same GMAT score, you are likely to, the person with the microbiology background has a better fit compared to you coming from a physical science background. However, it is possible. But you want to consider the many fields where your specialization can fit. For instance, I did botany. I studied botany in school, but based on my experience, industrial training experience, I have quite a number of fits and I have knowledge in geosciences. And so that helped me limit the scope of my search to the fields in biological science and also geological science. I hope you get what I am trying to say. So you want to consider your fit. Of course, you can be in chemistry and have specialized fields that take you to engineering, that takes you to another department. That's fine. But just ensure that there is an iota of fit between what you studied, what you obtained your degree in, and the experience you have accumulated till now. You want to be sure that there is a fit between that field of research that you obtained your degree and the field of the potential supervisor. That will increase your chances of landing a scholarship. That would increase your chances of landing a positive response. You just want to check as many boxes as possible so that you are sure that once the person wants to respond to you, you are likely to get a positive response. The next thing you want to consider is the admission requirement of the institution. So while this is very important, because I've gone through a lot of attempts at trying to reach out to supervisors, and once I go through the institution's admission requirement, despite finding out that the person I want to contact, of course, we have a fit. Probably the person studied something in geoscience or in botany or a related field that I can partake or I can join. That's the first level I have checked. Now the next is the admission requirement. So even if I have a fit with a person, with a potential supervisor, how about the admission requirement? What if they require a GRE score of 320? What if they require a GRE score of nothing less than 310, and you, after your GRE, you scored 300? At such instances, I do not go further. At such instances, I do not go further. I do not attempt to establish connections with the supervisor because I know I do not meet the admission requirement. So some of you might have reached out to supervisors, and then yes, there is a fit between your field and the supervisor's field, but you did not check the admission requirement. So the supervisor assumed that you have read the admission requirement and you probably meet those requirements. And then the supervisor says, or may say something in the line of, okay, you can apply. I would monitor your application or something like that. But when you were now filling your admission requirement, you did not make the minimum requirement, but yet you applied. Now, when the institution replies to you and tells you that unfortunately you were not selected, you will not know that this was where you failed, that you failed at the point of not checking the admission requirements of the institution. So you want to be sure that aside the fact that this supervisor is a good fit for the program I'm applying to, you want to be sure that you also meet the admission requirements of the institution. Next, the next thing you want to consider is the hierarchy or rank of the supervisor. So why is this important? I'll tell you. In my experience, one of the things that increases your chances of landing a positive response from a supervisor is the rank of the supervisor, is the level of influence the supervisor has. Chances are high that when you target a team leader, I'm not talking about the supervisor being a part of a team. Like where I am, we have many people in the climate research team, right? We have many scientists in the climate research team. But somebody is the head of the climate research team. So do you understand what I'm saying? So you increase your chances of getting a good response if you are able to get across to the head of a research team rather than individual researchers. Of course, you can also get opportunities with people, but I find out that when I send emails to those that are the leaders of the team, a strong response from them has higher chances. It increases your chances of getting a go-ahead to apply, and they'll probably look into your application when you eventually apply, or they express their interest in you. The two scholarships I talked about during my introduction, I told you about my supervisor. I told you about belonging to considering a team and targeting the head of the team rather than members of the team. And I say this because, for instance, where I am, my supervisor is the leader of the climate team, and the climate team is the most, we are more in numbers, and my supervisor is the leader of the team, made up of many scientists, I think about 35, but my supervisor is the leader of the team. So I stood a greater chance of eventually getting this opportunity because I reached out to a supervisor who is the leader of a big team. In the same instance, in the second scholarship I eventually rejected, the professor I contacted, which I have shared the story with us in the group, the professor I contacted, like I told you, is very known in the country, very known across Australia, and is the leader of the team. So I've come across different experience. Aside the two that I eventually, got the result and follow through, I've shared some opportunities I did not follow through with us. And I also have other opportunities I'll still share that I missed out on due to reasons I will share with you later. But I found out that I got more responses when I relate with supervisors who are leaders rather than part members of a unit. So that's something you want to consider before you send an email to a potential supervisor. Then you also want to, this is more like an additional point where you want to consider the supervisor's profile. You want to consider the supervisor's profile, and you want to evaluate what the supervisor is currently doing. You want to look at, his research interest, current project, past projects. You want to look at the CV. You want to be sure that you understand what this person is doing. You can look at the supervisor from the initial link. They might just write accounting, marketing. But when you go down to the supervisor's profile, you will see that probably the person is only interested in psychology of marketing or something else, and you might want more practical field work. So you want to be sure, you want to go through the profile to establish a link between yourself, the supervisor, and the kind of research the supervisor is doing. Why? For me, when I look at the supervisor's profile, once I glance through the supervisor's profile, I want to look at what is the person doing at the moment. Once I understand the kind of project the person is doing, I want to understand what are the past projects the person has done. That would give me an idea about the spread of the supervisor. And by spread, I want to look at the kind of interdisciplinary research that the supervisor has done. As the supervisor collaborated with someone in physics, with chemistry, I just want to have an idea the kind of people he or she works with. Because relationships in academia is almost continuing. If you have done a past project with one person before, chances are high you will still do something similar with this person, or if the person becomes a faculty, you are likely to do research with the person or with the person's student, and it's like a spiral. It continues to bounce like that. So I consider the current project and past project to see, do I fit into this person's project? Do I see myself practicing this? Assuming I want to take this for a career, do I want to work on this project? Do I want to work with this person? And the reason why I check the supervisor's CV, I know not many people, you will not hear many people tell you this. You will not hear it anywhere. This is the only place you can hear it from me. You try to look at, sometimes it's inaccessible, but when you can access it, the supervisor's CV gives you this information. Now, there are people who are very stereotypic. I check a supervisor's CV for just one reason. I want to understand if the supervisor has a tendency for accepting diversity. And by that, this is what I mean. There are some supervisors that I'll be using instances relating to me so that, you can easily understand what I'm trying to say. So for me, I came from a plant science background and I am doing geosciences now, right? And now, the reason why I check the CV is I want to see whether this supervisor did geology, first degree, geoscience, second degree, another geophysics, PhD, maybe geology, bachelor's, something in geoscience, masters, geophysics, PhD, and has been doing something related to geology all his life. Now, that tells me something, that my chance of being considered with such a person is not so high compared to somebody whose profile reads maybe PhD geography, maybe BSc geography, then PhD oceanography or something. The diversity in the person's education will likely make me be someone that will be accepted, it increases my chances when I know that this supervisor would understand diversity. The fact that I have this background does not mean he cannot accept me. Remember, I talked about fit in the first instance, and by fit, I do not mean what you only studied. You might have studied civil engineering, but probably the opportunity has something to do with biotech or something. The reason why you are checking the person's CV is to be sure whether this person will understand having this kind of change, this kind of movement. So that's the reason for checking the CV. You want to know whether the person, it doesn't stop you from contacting the person. Don't get it wrong. Even if the person has just one consistent field, still reach out. But I am saying that I check the CV sometimes just to get into a mental frame, just to get into the mental frame that, oh, this person I'm reaching out to, I'm not sure he or she will be open to diversity in terms of me coming from a totally different background than to their field. So that's why you check their CV. So the next thing we want to talk about are the do's and the don'ts of contacting potential supervisors. So what are the do's and don'ts of contacting potential supervisors? So number one, I'm sure some of us are familiar with this person in this image. You want to be sure that you address the person by their title. That's the essence of this. Number one, you want to ensure that you address the person by his or her title. I remember a time when I tried to reach out to a potential supervisor and I used dear Dr. Peter or something, whereas the name of the person, the title of the person was professor or something in the line of emeritus professor. So it's usually not very nice when you address people wrongly. Although, in this side of the world, they don't really address themselves as my name is Professor Matthew, my name is Professor. No, they tell you my name is Frank, but they are a professor of this subject. But when you are sending a formal letter as a potential student, you want to be sure you are addressing the supervisor by his or her title. Don't just check their website and you see Doctor. You see Dr. Frankie Catlin. Actually, the person is a doctor because the person has a PhD, but the person might be a professor. So you want to be sure you do your homework to be sure that sometimes I spend 30 minutes just to know a supervisor's title until I have exhausted all my options before I go with the safest professor. So it's better the person is telling me, oh no, Michael, I am a doctor, I'm still a doctor. Oh, I'll say I'm sorry, my apologies, than to say doctor and the person is a professor. I don't want a put off. It's better it's just psychological. It's just like somebody calling you president. Oh, president of Nigeria. Of course, that's not the reality. But if someone calls you, it makes you feel like something. So even if the person is a doctor, assuming you could not ascertain that this person is a doctor, then the safest thing to do is refer to the person as a professor, and then let the person tell you, oh no, I am doctor. Oh, okay, my apologies, I'm sorry. It's easier like that, elevating the person rather than putting the person down as a doctor when the person is a professor. So you want to ensure you address the person by the title and do your research to be sure of the title. The second thing you do not want to do is sending a generic content. Now, there are many templates online. There are many templates. I have seen them, and trust me, I never found any content that did me any good service online when it comes to example content for emailing supervisor. I really never found any sample that helped me, improve improve the quality of my content. This was just all researched. I know there are many templates online where they will tell you to put, dear Professor X, my name is XXX. I am in brackets. Tell them about what you are doing and all that. For me, yes, while that can be helpful to some, it still does not put some context to it. And I'm sure you will agree with me that while you have seen many of these dear Professor X and all this XXX, I am interested in your research, XXX, while you might have seen many, I'm sure it still does not drive home many points to you, because it still leaves you in a position of struggle, because you don't really know what should be X really. What should be X? What should be the content of my, how do you frame the content of the research you have done? Although they told you insert research experience here, insert this one here, but how do you write it? How do you frame it? Nobody gives you that. But you are lucky that you are on this webinar, because I'm not going to be showing you XXX. I'm going to be showing you the exact content that I send out usually. So this is not XXX. This is I'm bearing it all out to you. So you want to avoid generic content. You don't want the content that someone can easily pull off, or something that a professor is likely to have read somewhere before. You want to generate unique content that is unique to the supervisor, and also very direct and speaks your message, sells you directly. So the next thing you want to do is, before you send out any email, think about the structure of your content. I say this for many reasons. Now, I told you that when in my introductory slides, I know some of you missed that, where I was telling you why you should listen to me. I told you that as recently as April, I helped a potential candidate, graduate student, land 2 interviews as recent as April. And how did it happen? It's still using this strategy. However, there was something we did with the structure of the content, because everybody's story is different. So you want to be sure whether you can sell yourself on an emotional level. I don't want to go into the psychology of writing. That's another topic entirely. So there's a way to write to direct emotions with content, despite it just being a contact email, but that will be another day. So as I was saying, you want to think about the structure of your content. So while we use the same strategy for this potential student, prospective graduate student, we leveraged a personal story into the contact email. So not all emails are just meant to be serious. I mean, there are some emails that you are supposed to send. However, when sending those emails, what you need to do is decide whether this is going to be an all serious email, or this is going to be a mix of an emotional and serious email. And by emotional, I don't mean you are doing a pity party. By emotional, I don't mean you are doing a pity party. I'm talking about you are telling your own story such that relates with the person's research, and then creating an emotional trigger based on the content you provide. I don't know if you understood that. I'm saying that when you are thinking about the structure of your content, you want to decide whether this email is going to be strictly academic, strictly serious, strictly research-based, strictly just straightforward. Or you want to decide whether this email that I am sending out is going to be a mix of serious situation, and it's going to be a mix of my personal story, meaning that you are taking what people normally know as a normal contact email, and you are combining it with a mini personal statement, and then you're sending it out. In the case of the student, the prospective student I talked about, this was the case in both emails we sent out that landed her the interview. So what we did was think about the structure and the person. We did a lot of research about who is the person on the receiving end, who is the person receiving this thing, what can be their likely mental triggers, what are things that we will say that the person is likely to attach his or emotion to our content. So we didn't go with the straightforward, purely academic contact email type. So we deployed the academic and emotional content email type. I'm sure you've never heard that before. I'm very sure. I'm the best at what I do, and I am sure of what I am saying. If you think about the structure of your content, if you can consider your personal situation, see whether this person on the receiving end can you attach emotion to it with the person, and then you are likely to have some buy-in when you consider the structure of your content. And also, if it's going to be a totally serious content, then you want to be sure to arrange it. Where is my introduction? Where are the other components going to be? Which one is supposed to come first? Which one is supposed to come last? And like that, you structure your content. The next thing you do not want to do is to fill in the the email address of the supervisor before writing the content. This happened to me even as recent as January or February. I had totally forgotten. It was my rule that I do not fill in the email, the recipient email. I do not fill it until I'm done with writing the content of my email, because you are likely to press enter when at the time you are meaning to create space to say, okay, create a new paragraph. Your mouse or whatsoever might have been on the send key, and then when you hit enter, hoping to get a space, you get a send. So you want to be sure that you do not fill in the email address of the supervisor before writing the content. Usually it's advisable you write the content in a Word document. That's what I do. You write first in a Word document, paste it, format it. After formatting it, because when you copy from Microsoft Word, and once it gets to the email, your Gmail or Yahoo content box, format might change. So you want to format it before you send. So once you write in Microsoft Word and you transfer to your Gmail or Yahoo Mail account send box, and you are sure you are ready to send, then you can attach your the recipient email address and you send. Okay, so next is always use email signatures. I know many of you do not use email signatures. How many of you know what an email signature is? How many of you use email signatures? Use the comment box. Let's know. How many of you use email signatures? Or do you know what an email signature is? Anyway, so you want to be sure you use email signatures always, because it communicates professionalism. That's what you need to know. It communicates professionalism. Email signatures can be set up in your Yahoo or Gmail settings such that at the end of your email, you do not need to write your name. You do not need to write your name. You do not need to add anything. All you need is the content. Once you put the content, end with regards or yours sincerely and send. The message will send along with your email signatures. Email signatures are usually that part of your email, usually below a content that, includes your personal information, research, whatever thing you want to put, usually identity related. Put it there before sending. At this level, I would recommend, if you are looking for Masters or PhD, of course, apparently that's why we are here, I would recommend you write your name first, create email signatures, write your name first. After writing your name, insert your department. Where did you graduate from? So mine will read Adebayo, Michael Babatunde, my third name, my middle name. Then down, next line will be Department of Botany, University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, University of whatever university you are from. So you go from your name, you go to your department, then you go to the name of your school. Then you can include other email addresses you have or other things that just show you to be a professional person. Usually I use a quote at the end. So always, if you don't know how to create email signatures, use Google. Google is your friend. Create email signatures with, in your Google account, create email signatures. It makes you look serious. It makes you really, really professional. So the next thing you do not want to do is you do not want to write in shorthand. I know there was a comment, I can't remember the name of the person in the community. He made a comment and he was writing some part of his comment in shorthand. Guys, you need to understand that perception is the rule of the game. People hire you based on perception. People respond to your emails based on perception. People reply to you based on the perception you sold from your content. Really, it's not about your content for real. It's about the perception you sold from your content. Now, when I read the comment, I replied the person, but I had to point out that if in a community group, you can't write full sentences, then it gives me an insight into how you might have been doing or approaching your applications, and then you say you are not getting responses. Situations where you can't write and completely, you are using letter N, it shows no professionalism. I don't even need to see your application. I don't need it. It's not about judging, it's about assuming I had something to give and you really truly needed this thing. I would have overlooked that kind of a person because I do not see any sign of it. Takes you the same time it takes you to write letter N. If you are a fast typer, it's the same time it will take you to write AND. So avoid writing this emails to supervisors and inserting little, according to you, non-harmful shorthand writing. These are put-offs that might have be hampering your opportunities or your likelihood of landing a scholarship. A potential yes from a supervisor, I meant to say. So next and very important point, in your content, always sell yourself unashamed. The reason why you are reaching out to supervisors is because you are reaching out to supervisors because you want to sell yourself. You are reaching out to supervisors because you want them to accept you. It's just like asking a lady out. When you consider it in that light, maybe your mind will change. Maybe in another higher level of consideration, it's like you are looking for a job. When you see it like that, because actually you're looking for a job, a master's position, a PhD position on a scholarship is a job. It's not a free money that somebody, they are just in the mood to share. They give it not just to the highest bidder. In this context, it will be the person that has sold him or herself. And usually it's not even about the person with the best portfolio. Sometimes it's about the person that sold the perception of the best portfolio, if you understand what I mean. So it's not about so I'm reading some of our comments. I see that some of us say that we don't have. Toyosi says that I do with my institutional email. Don't just do it with your institutional email. Do it with your personal email too. Any email that belongs to you, do it. It's advisable to do. Ayodeji says it does, but it deactivates it at times. No, it's because you have not leveraged it. Because when the importance of something is not known, like they said, you are likely not to either use it or abuse it. In your case, it's not abuse, it's because you really do not know how important it is, so you just do not use it. So Ayodeji, do not deactivate it anytime, forever. Always remain and sound professional. Sending emails with signatures is a level of, it sells a perception of seriousness. I'm telling you this from experience, free of charge. It sells perception of seriousness and of professionalism. Email signatures, they send message of professionalism and seriousness. You want to work and operate at that level and not just send ordinary emails and go to sleep. These might be things that have been costing you little opportunities. They are so little that you will think they do not matter, but these are the things costing you opportunities that you are not aware of. But I'm glad that you are hearing this now, and I'm sure you are going to take action. So I was talking about selling yourself. Sell yourself unashamed. Remember, like I said, it's not about the person with the best profile. It's the person who sells what they see as the best profile. I wish this was a physical class. I would have demonstrated a lot of things for you. Again, I repeat, selling yourself unashamed does not mean, it's not to mean that the person who sells himself because he or she has the strongest profile is accepted. No, that's not what I'm saying. Selling yourself unashamed, I'm referring to selling the perception of being the best student, being the best person the person can choose to work with. So, do that without being ashamed of anything. You will see the component of what your email should look like as we go on. After now, you will see that, but I want to tell you that whatsoever your achievements are, whatsoever little thing you have done that you think are relevant to your field of research, or that shows you to be someone that can be dependable, that can be relied upon, then you want to position yourself for that. You want to position yourself as somebody who can be relied on, somebody who knows what he or she is doing, somebody who can independently work. So, in selling yourself, behind your mind, keep the fact this: I want to sell myself. Not because I think, not because I am because you are likely not to be the best person with the best profile anywhere in the world, but you want to sell what looks like the best person they can choose to work with. I hope you understand that. So I would move from there. So work on selling yourself in that light, in focusing on selling the perception of you being the best candidate through that email. So okay, what are the differences between advertised positions versus cold emailing? Advertised positions are similar to what the PDF you downloaded that contain the list of projects, list of theses that, the PIs are looking for students, and then you apply. So this first part is addressing how do you approach writing an email for an advertised position versus writing an email to somebody you do not know whether he or she has funding, or whether he or she has a grant, or whether the person is even willing to accept a graduate student in the current session. You do not know these things. So you are just casting your net. So, and for both scholarships, I said I got one from an advertised position, and I got one from cold emailing. So again, that is why you should listen to me, because I have been there, and I don't share internet content. I don't share something you will see online and just browse and just pick. These are experiences you will not get anywhere, and I am breaking all this down for everyone attending this webinar, so that you understand in depth every step, at every point you are making a step towards writing, you understand where you are coming from and why you should be doing what you are doing. So for advertised positions, your email should be concise. You don't write long emails for an advertised position. You just go from your name, formally telling the supervisor to find attached your documents that you are using to apply to the position. So it's usually brief, usually short, something similar to the email. If you can remember, I shared a template with us some time ago. Something similar to that. Short, this is your the name of the professor, your name, and then let the person know who you are, and let them know that you are reaching out because you are submitting a formal application to them regarding their project that was advertised here or wherever it was advertised. You just say that you are applying to their position or to the advertised position, and that's all. You leave it with your email signature. You attach the document. Usually the document to attach is usually with the instruction from the application end, so you know what to do. And it's usually in form of a cover letter. When you are writing for this position, you can use that template I shared the other time for the MSc that works for PhD too. And in addition to that, rather than write like that, you can also write in a form that looks like an application letter, so to say. Like when you're looking for a job, the way you structure the letter, but it's shorter, it's concise, and then you hit the point straight up in few lines or 1 or 2 paragraphs. You've sent your application. Then, like I said, usually they ask you to attach all your documents as one PDF. That's your CV, your certificate, your transcripts, your GRE test page, whatever it is, they ask you to send as one PDF. Although some will ask you to send separately. And for advertised positions, this is key. You can't afford to leave any of your document out. Any document that shows that you are, any document that shows that you are the right candidate, that shows you have the right experience, that shows you are an accomplished person in this thing, that shows you have done something tangible worthy to be considered, or you have done a research, even if it is one project. Whatever it is you have done with that project, you have to include it. You can't joke with advertised position. If you have CV, transcript, recommendation letter, project management certificate, anything as proof of your validity, anything as proof of your relevance to the project, assuming you attended a workshop on chemical, assuming for those in chemical sciences, you attended a conference that has to do with latest chemical skill or something, and they gave you certificate of attendance, attach it, because you do not have a second chance. Advertised positions do not give you second chance. They judge you immediately. For cold emailing, you can still check back later, you can still follow up. But for advertised position, you get a yes or no instantly. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you are thinking, I'll first send my CV and my certificate, I'll keep my transcript. If the man likes me, I'll send my transcript later. You don't do that. You don't go, I have my transcript, I have my CV, have my certificate, but you keep your publications in your laptop. Assuming you have a publication. You don't do that. At this point, if you advertise, sending out documents for an advertised position, you go with your asthma. The person will be afraid. Even though maybe you've not done anything serious in terms of research, the little you have done, package it as if, if it's just undergraduate thesis you have done that looks like research, the abstract, package it as though it's going to be a published article. Don't just send your document, the few documents you have, and think everything, I'll send the others if they need it during the application round. You don't take chances. You send them. And for advertised positions, I recommend that you try to have recommendation letter handy for advertised positions. For cold emailing, is not so necessary, but for advertised position, try to have a recommendation letter handy. Imagine a student contacting you as a professor, and then you are seeing CV, you are seeing certificates, you are seeing transcripts, you are seeing workshop certificates, you are seeing the abstract of maybe master's thesis or undergraduate thesis, you are seeing 2 recommendations from senior professors just for contacting you. Trust me, you would likely calm down to read the letter again, even if the letter was not so rightly written or rightly structured. You will still, if the person tries to open your document, that's the pitfall of the person. Don't just open the document. If you open it, you have a reason to calm down and read the nonsense I've written to you. Of course, it's not nonsense you will write, I'm sure. But I'm just saying that if you also go with your arsenal with the document side of your contact, the person would want to rethink rather than just saying no. Even if the person wants to turn you down, the person might likely tell you, sorry, I don't have a position this year, but next year, try to reach out to me. I have many like that. I have many that I go across to them the following year. They gave me link to apply, gave me the go ahead. Trust me, I have lost many chances to certain things that I'll share in the community so that you do not make the same mistakes that I've made. But I always go with my arsenal, and it has always worked. So you always want to go in with your arsenal once you are applying to open positions. Then for cold emailing, it is usually more detailed. You don't write a cover letter. The things most prospective students do is write cover letter to potential supervisors. You don't write cover letter. Don't write cover letter to them. Most of the templates I see online, they are cover letters, in my opinion. They will hardly move supervisors, hardly. Except for those that already have grants and are ready to really employ students on the go. They will just overlook that and check your documents and make their decisions, and you get the opportunity. But what if you are not part of those lucky people that will find that kind of supervisors? You don't want to approach writing a contact email like a cover letter. You want to send a contact email that is so tailored to the supervisor and is full of a message. Also, but for cold emailing, you can afford to leave out some documents. You might not necessarily send your transcript. Your manuscript. You might just send, since they would see the list of your publication or the workshops you have attended in your CV. You don't need to send all that. All you need is CV and transcript and probably certificate. Otherwise, you are good to go. For cold emailing, that's just all you need. Then if the person is interested, the person requests you to send, and you send. Recommendation letter, not all that important, because the most important factor in cold emailing is, does the person have funding or does the person have power to support your application for a major scholarship opportunity? So it's at the first contact level, it's not that important. But for an advertised position, like I said, go with your arsenal. Go with your arsenal. Go with your arsenal. Then, how do you structure the content of your email? So you do your introduction. This is how I structure my emails. I start with an introduction, motivation. I start with introduction, then I talk about motivation. In that light, I'm talking about fit and alignment. I talk about the first proof. If I say I have an interest in your field, I must be able to prove what I have done in the past that aligns with this statement. So you are not just writing the same content in 2 paragraphs. So you give an introduction, you tell the person how you fit into the person's research project and how you fit into the person's team. Then you want to show proof. This is the proof that I align. Second proof. First proof can be in line of your research experience. The second one can be in terms of skills and publication. You support proof 1 with your proof 2. So it goes in introduction, motivation, how I fit and align. I'm showing you my proof. This second proof also supports what I said earlier. And then you are closing with enthusiasm, expressing your interest and sharing those documents. So that is the method that I use. For the introduction, subject line, you want to show a subject line. What's the title? By subject line, I mean the title of your email. You want to be sure you write something that sends a message instantly. The person is not guessing why you are reaching out. The person knows from reading the title of your email, this person is making a request, definitely from this email. So let the person know. Don't leave it to trying to play clickbait. Don't do clickbait with your contact email. Please don't look for clickbait. Just write the subject line and just get it across. Let the person, once the person reads it, let the person know that this subject line is making a request. Then you want to include your name. Oh, I already included the subject line, sorry. Then the name of your institution in your introduction paragraph or your introductory paragraph. You want to write your name, the subject line first, your name of institution, the department and field you obtained your degree. You want to include your graduating grade. It's optional, but I do recommend you put it. But that's if you can leverage the grade. A 2-1, a first class can include it. If you have a 2-1, if you have a first class, you can include it. Then in inclusion, in specifying the grade is also optional, but I like to specify it too because it's a leverage. It's a leverage. It's not something you have to do. It's a leverage for me. So, and I already told you that you have to sell yourself unashamed. So the idea is that I don't want to waste your time finding out my story. I want you to know that this person contacting you is ready to work with you right now. So that's the essence of the introductory paragraph. You want to catch attention as fast as possible. You don't want to waste any time. So you want to include your graduating grade. If you have a second class, upper, a first class, include it. If your second class is not so strong, it's optional. You can include it. Or just put second class upper. That saves you a lot. So just put division. But if you are anywhere near strong 2-1, first class, I recommend you include it just to leverage that. And in your introductory paragraph, you want to hammer on your accomplishment and achievement. You don't waste time. You are selling perception of being the best. Remember what I said earlier. It's not about the person. It's not about the person who. It's not about the person. It's not about the person who. I'm trying to connect with people. It's not about the person who has the best grade. It's about the person who sells the perception of having the best fit, being the best candidate. The person who sells the perception of the best candidate. That's who wins the show. That's who wins the opportunity. Then you also want to talk about your current educational level. Are you a master? Have you obtained your bachelor's? Or you are currently doing a master's program and you are looking forward to resuming for a PhD program later in the year or next year. You want to do all this introduction as fast as possible. Then this is a typical example. This is not a typical example. This is the example I use. So I go with prospective PhD graduate student. Prospective, it's very direct, right? I go very direct. Prospective PhD or MSc graduate student, and I had my name, my name. That's how I do it, and it has always worked. Then I go, dear Professor John Persa, my name is Adebayo Michael Babatunde, and I am a graduate of the Department of Botany, University of Lagos. I backed a first class in this field. My CGPA is this. I won more than 5 awards during my undergraduate, and I have also completed my master's degree with distinctions. So you see that on reading my first line, I don't want to waste your time. My time is precious to me, your time is precious to you, but I want to buy your time. So I need to gain your attention as in the least amount of time. I want you to be like, no, I need to read what this guy sent to me, right? This might not be your own portfolio, right? But whatever your portfolio is, I told you I worked with somebody as recent as last month and she asked 2 interviews. It's still the same strategy. Of course, she does not have the same profile as I do, but with what she had, we still leveraged it and it still worked. So don't think, oh, I can't come up with something like this because you don't have this kind of profile. No, at all. It's not. It's about the strategy. I shared a post, was it earlier today or yesterday, where I talked about process. Once you understand process and strategy, trust me, the advantage is replication. Even if they delete all my emails, delete everything, I am sure to replicate everything I've done and get the same result, even better. Because it's a process. So in the next line, you want to show that you have a fit, you want to show alignment, you want to show your future aspiration, you want to show why an MSc, why PhD, you want to share your research interest. Here, you can share broad interest. I advise that you share broad interest because while for example, in Canada, in the University of Lagos, The field I studied, palynology, is integrated into another program called biology in Canada. In one of the institutions in Canada, it's a subfield in biology, whereas the University of Lagos, biology is a different faculty and my field is under botany. So So you see why the importance of sharing your broad research interest so that you will capture as many possibility as possible, because usually in practice researchers don't have like one major field like that. They are usually multidisciplinary, even though they have, even though they have one major place they play, but their research cuts across many fields. So you also want to try that. You also want to do that with communicating your interest. While you might have obtained your primary degree in chemistry, you might want to talk about interest in biotech, in probably nuclear chemistry or nuclear engineering. You will just find a way to look at the bigger picture rather than saying this is where you have research interest and that's all. So this is an example of what I use. So I focus, the parts I put in yellow are what are examples of what I am trying to make. This point I'm making here, I am giving proof here. I'm giving a proof here. So I go with, given my experience, I have developed a keen interest in environmental sciences. Remember, the environmental sciences is broad. It's not just one. There are many applications there. Then I go, and more specifically in paleoecology and paleoclimate studies. Hence, I am interested in building upon my bachelor's and master's degree experience and expanding my research into related areas. Now, what I am doing is setting the tone for my research interests. So, I'm saying that I would like to develop my career in academia in this direction. What I have done is show future aspiration. I want to do masters, I want to do PhD because I want to be in the academia, and it's a requirement. That is what I am showing in this line. So you see, when I say there is a why behind every content that I write, there is something I am showing. So I go, in view of this, getting a PhD opportunity to work with you will be a step in the right direction, as it will bring me closer towards my future goal of personal development in academia. I was excited to learn that your research interest aligns strongly with mine. Remember point number 1, show fit and alignment. I already told you that I have a keen interest in this area, and I already told you where I obtained my degree from. Then I am telling you that I am interested in aligning with the following fields: paleoecology, archaeological science, paleoclimatology, paleontology, palynology, and quaternary environment. So I make my request. I will love to take on a research project under your supervision for my PhD. This is a cold email sample. This is a cold email sample. The template I shared the other time, that both MSc and PhD can use it. That's why I'm focusing on the cold emailing, because it's the tougher part of contacting supervisors. So that's why I'm concentrating on this webinar. So I make my request known. I would be open to taking up any project that is available with you, since we share the same project. So I'm saying that even though I did palynology, if it is paleoclimatology that is available, I'm ready. If it's quaternary environment studies, I am ready. So you see why I say you should share broad research interests. So the person knows that, okay, if you don't fit here, we can design a project here. Or maybe I have a project in archaeology, then you can combine two fields. So it gives me a chance to be considered for different aspects. Then, after I have introduced myself, I said you should show proof And again, showing proof 1, showing proof 2 does not have to be in order as I have presented it. Anyhow you choose to do it. If you want to do publication first, skills second, research experience next, it's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. Whichever way you choose to do it, it's totally up to you. But ensure that you use a proof to support your previous claim. You started with introduction, you shared motivation, you shared your interest, you shared that you want to work with the person. Okay, now what's next? Show that you qualify to work with this person. Show that you qualify to work with this person. And what you need to prove is your experience, skills, and your publications. If you don't have publications, you don't need to worry. You have done undergraduate thesis, you have done master's thesis. Even if they are not published, you can say you can just send the abstract and say that you are hoping to work with your supervisor to get it published. It works. So this is the example I go when I'm trying to show proof of why you should consider me. I told you I have experience in your field, and I have interest in a broad area, and these are the experiences I've had that made me say that I have that, or I qualify for this opportunity. So I go, being a prospective student with experience in this field, biology, ecology, and I mentioned a number of fields that I have experience. I am upbeat, I'm confident about my ability to complete a PhD thesis under your supervision. My additional experience, so remember I said I already have experience, that's like proof 1. Proof 2, my additional experience in sedimentology, where I presented a paper, attending a conference is a plus in the academic world, another proof. I told him that, where we reported, that was the study, coupled with my interest in statistics, make me a good fit for working on your research team. I would love to work in your lab. Again, I try to end every paragraph with passion to work with the person. I will love to work with you. It's enthusiasm you are showing. You have written the motivation and interest, you end it with passion. You have written the next paragraph, you end it, you are showing every proof, you end it with passion. I would love to work with you in your lab. Then, evidence again. I currently have 4 published manuscripts. I have one that has been accepted and another one that is currently under review. That's 6 publications. And I talk about the publication. I don't just say I've published 4. This was, I think it was Afiz Adegoke that posted a sample he usually sends, where he just writes, I have a publication and all that. No, don't do that. Don't just write that and leave the supervisor in limbo. Tell them what was the research. They don't want to be going to Google to be searching what you did. They don't have that time. You might not even fit into their work, so why should they care? So it's better you provide the information so they have a perspective about what you have done. So I currently have 4 published manuscripts and 2 others are coming. At the moment, they are already published. So it will be like I have 6 publications. The first published manuscript examined this. This is the link if you want to verify. The second published manuscript investigated, look at the scientific terms I'm using. So you see that the person is looking at you that, the person just can't read your email and just tell you, get away. No. The highest the person will tell you, thanks for contacting me. This is awesome. You have a great profile, but sorry, I don't have funding to support you. No qualms. But if you send this out to the right person, you are going to eat jackpot. So the second manuscript investigated, I go with the topic and where it was published. Then I always mention the publishers. The third manuscript did this and we published here. The fourth manuscript examined this and Most of my publications are international publications, except for one. I think it's only one publication that is a national publication. Every publication is an international paper. So I also support again with another evidence. I say that I recently completed an ecological research grant project where I was part of a team. I talk about things I've done again. Then I also mentioned that we carried out other investigations and those. Remember, I said earlier, you always end with enthusiasm and passion. Again, you see me doing it here. As mentioned earlier, sir, I am interested in joining your research group to take up a project for my PhD thesis under your supervision. I believe I have the requisite skills needed to successfully complete a PhD study. Now, tell me, after this I have said now, tell me your impression about this content. Like I tell you, I am a person of process. And I believe once you understand process and you understand the why behind what you do, and writing content is like an art and it can be mystical if you don't train for it. It's not anybody can write letter, anybody can contact anybody. But if you don't get into the psychological frame and try to think ahead of time what you want to sell, like I repeated before, remember, it's not about the person with the best physical evidence of fit. It's the person that sold, or the person that sells the perception of best of fit, not the best of fit. I think that explains it better. It's not who has best fit profile. It's the person that sells the perception of the best fit profile that eventually gets responses, right? So for the closure, you want to show enthusiasm, you express your interest. Remember, as I'm hammering on that enthusiasm, interest, at the end, you still do the same thing. It is intentional. It's not there for gimmicks. It is intentional. You make your request known in clear terms. Then you attach document. So when I close, I usually do this. I make my intentions known. I'm currently looking forward to starting a PhD program in 2019 at the earliest possible time at your institution. I am very interested in working under your supervision at the University of Waterloo, assuming that's the name of the school. I know it is expedient to secure a supervisor before making a formal application. Hence, why I am contacting you, sir. I am really enthusiastic about getting an opportunity with you. Please find attached my CV and transcript for your perusal. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your reply. Regards, and I end with my email signature. So there, guys, that is how I close my sales. That's how I close my pitch. That's how I close my content with prospective supervisors. And this strategy I just shared with you, no holds bar. I did not hide anything from you and explained everything from A to Z. This same strategy I experienced an increase of about 300% in response rate since I started using this strategy and template. So to put that in perspective, that means that if I was doing 10 emails and I used to get 2 people reply me, regardless whether positive or negative. If 2 people replies me before, after I started using this strategy, if I send out 10, I get 6 replies. If I send out 10, I get 6 replies. At least I get 6 replies. So if it's so bad I don't get a reply, minimum of 3 or 4 will answer. Minimum of 3 or 4 will respond to me since I started using this. And I have sent out more than 300 emails in total. And I told you, I've shared my story with you and how I came about having to learn this. So guys, how valuable has this training been for you? Write in the comment section.